Welcome! Today, we're totally demystifying the Alabama Vital Record System. We're taking all the guesswork out of getting your hands on an Alabama birth certificate and turning what usually feels like a confusing bureaucratic maze into a really simple step-by-step roadmap. Picture this. You're applying for a passport, or maybe you're trying to enroll your kid in a new school, or urgently need access to some medical records. And then a sudden wave of panic hits you. You don't have a certified copy of your birth certificate. The clock is ticking, right? And government paperwork is literally the very last thing you want to deal with. Well, take a deep breath. Today, in this explainer, we're going to show you exactly how to get your Alabama birth certificate online quickly, correctly, and completely headache-free. Okay, let's dive right into this. Here's our roadmap for today. We'll cover eligibility and ID requirements, preparing your information, navigating the online process, understanding fees and payments, tracking and common errors, and finally, resources and a legal disclaimer. Let's get to it. First up, Section 1, eligibility and ID requirements. Because before we even think about opening a web browser, we really need to understand the strict rules of the game Alabama enforces. So Alabama takes privacy incredibly seriously. They actually have a strict 125-year privacy restriction on birth certificates. Just to put that into perspective for you, that means any birth from the year 1900 onwards is highly restricted. So who can actually get one?
Well, authorized individuals include the person named on the certificate, as long as you're 14 or older, along with parents, spouses, children, and siblings. That's pretty much it. If you aren't on that short list, say you're an aunt, a cousin, or just a random member of the general public, you're considered an unauthorized requester. If that's you, you absolutely need special, notarized written approval from an authorized person, plus a copy of their ID, just to make the request.
And knowing those rules perfectly leads us into the very strict identification requirements you're going to have to meet. Alabama basically divides acceptable IDs into two tiers, primary and secondary. It's actually pretty straightforward. If you have a primary ID, like an Alabama driver's license, a U.S. passport, or a military ID, great. You only need to submit that one single document. But if you don't have a primary ID, you must submit exactly two different documents from the secondary list. We're talking things like a utility bill, a property tax bill, or a voter registration card. Don't let the bureaucracy overwhelm you here. The main takeaway is simply knowing which category your ID falls into before you start. Moving right along to Section 2, preparing your information. So you know you're eligible and your ID is sorted out. Now it's time to gather the actual data. The state's database requires highly precise inputs to find your record. You really can't just guess here. You're going to need the exact date of birth and the specific hospital where the birth happened. Fun fact, if it was a home birth, you literally just type the word home into the system. But here is the #1 detail that trips people up. You absolutely must provide the mother's full maiden name. That is her exact legal name before her first marriage. You'll also need the father's full legal name prior to his first marriage, and you have to clearly state your relationship to the person on the certificate. I highly recommend getting all of this written down before you even start clicking around online. All right, Section 3, navigating the online process. Time to take action. For online orders, the state uses an authorized third-party vendor called VitalCheck. Here's exactly how your digital journey will look. Step 1, select birth certificate as the record type you want. Step 2, carefully type in all that precise info we just gathered. Remember, double check that the mother's maiden name is spelled perfectly. Step 3 is identity verification. The system might try to verify you electronically using public records, or it'll ask you to upload those ID documents we talked about earlier. And finally, Step 4 is secure checkout. Just make sure you're on that official secure portal before putting in your card details, and always save a digital PDF receipt with your confirmation number. You'll thank yourself later. Which brings us to Section 4, understanding fees and payments. So the crucial point here is understanding the real financial difference between ordering online versus doing it in person. $15. That is the non-refundable state-based fee set by the Alabama State Board of Health. This $15 basically covers the manual labor of them searching the vital registry. If they find your record, that fee also covers one certified copy of the certificate. If you happen to need extra copies at the same time, they're only $6 each. But, and this is a big but, that base fee is literally just the starting point when you go the online route. Let's break this down completely transparently. If you walk into any county health department in Alabama, you pay that flat $15 base fee, and usually you walk right out with your certificate in under 30 minutes. However, when you use the online vendor, you are absolutely paying for convenience. The vendor tax on processing and service surcharges, plus if you decide to opt for expedited UPS shipping instead of just regular mail, your total cost can easily skyrocket to anywhere between $25 and $60 or even more.
So it's really up to you to decide if that digital convenience and speed are worth the extra cash compared to just driving down to a local health department. Next up, Section 5, Tracking and Common Errors. You've submitted your request. You've paid the fees. Now let's make sure you don't fall into the classic traps that cause massive delays. So why might my online request be delayed or rejected? It's super frustrating to even think about, isn't it? You pay a premium for fast online processing and then boom, you get an email saying your application is on hold. Let's look at exactly how to safeguard your time and your money right now. Here are the most common formatting and document errors that constantly derail applications. First, an incorrect mother's maiden name. I can't stress this enough. It must be her name before her first marriage, not her current married name. Second, submitting a primary ID that has been expired for more than 60 days. The state will automatically reject it, no questions asked. Third, if you're using secondary IDs, people so often try to upload a photo of their actual Social Security card. The state explicitly does not accept the card itself. It has to be official correspondence from the Social Security Administration. And lastly, if you're using a utility bill as a secondary ID, it cannot be older than 6 months. Double check these 4 exact things, and I promise your application will sail through without a hitch. Finally, Section 6, Resources and Legal Disclaimer. Because look, even with the absolute best preparation, unique situations do pop up, like an unrecorded birth or maybe a complex adoption. If you hit a brick wall, here is your safety net. For direct questions about the actual records, you can call the Alabama Center for Health Statistics at 334-206-5418. If you're running into technical glitches with the online portal itself, you'll want to use the online vendor's customer support. And if you're facing some serious, complex legal hurdles, maybe you're dealing with a delayed registration of a birth from decades ago, or you're an adult adoptee trying to access a sealed original certificate, organizations like Legal Services Alabama are out there to provide vital assistance for folks who qualify. Before we wrap things up, a quick professional note. This explainer is strictly for informational purposes only. While we've done the heavy lifting to distill the current rules and regulations for you, state policies can and definitely do change. You should always verify the latest fees, requirements, and fine print directly through official Alabama government channels, or seek out formal legal counsel if you're dealing with a highly specific, complex situation. So, are you ready to bypass all that bureaucracy and confidently order your certificate today? By knowing your eligibility, gathering your precise details, and dodging those common pitfalls, you are fully equipped to get this done. But it does leave us with one final, kind of crazy thought. In an era where we can literally manage our entire lives from a smartphone, why does simply proving our own existence still require navigating 125-year-old privacy laws and complex tiered identity checks? Until that system gets a major upgrade, well, at least you now have the ultimate roadmap to beat the red tape.